Good morning, good day, good morrow.
Hello,
Good morrow.
listeners,
Good morrow, everybody.
eaters, cookers. Hello, welcome to the kitchen.
Welcome to the betting kitchen.
Well, yeah, what is our place called? Or because like Pat McAfee is the Thunderdome.
Welcome to the Schmear Zone.
We'll go to the Bagels and Logs Bakery.
Welcome to the Schmear Zone. Good morrow, everybody, and welcome to the Bagels and Lox Bakery. Here, you got your boy Harambe, and I'm here with my friend, my colleague, my lad, the parlay lawyer, Dan.
Happy to be here. Number two. We're back.
Number two, not to be confused with number one, but number two, we have our green beer. We're being festive out of our Stanley Cup.
Cheers.
Salute. Let's take a sip. Yeah, St. Patty's Day this weekend, and we're just, I guess, starting the festivities a little bit early. First and foremost, want to give a huge shout out to the parlay lawyer. He went ham on his parlays. He hit 2 back-to-back nights of over $1,000 some payout. Quite incredible. So I just want to give you a big congratulations. That's not easy to do. One of those, and you're like, yeah, but back-to-back was quite impressive. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, and with the parlays, it's always you're going for a lotto ticket. So to hit one out of every, let's say, 5,
Right.
you're going to go ahead and be happy because you're profitable. You hit 2 in a row, that gives you some leeway where, you got some money to play with. You're going to keep throwing them in. If you could go 3 out of 5, I mean, you're really setting yourself up for a nice month, I think.
I definitely agree. I actually tailed Dan on some of those. And like you said, you had money to play around with, money to throw around. So yes, maybe Dan was getting some text from me at midnight of betting on table tennis, elite table tennis, that I was actually cashing, had no idea what I was doing. But the degenerate in me said, it's midnight, you're bored, you can't sleep, let's bet on some table tennis. And that's exactly what I did.
After you hit the parlay win, you feel this like energy. You can't go to sleep. You're just like, let me keep going.
Invincible. Absolutely invincible. A lot of teams right now in the NFL actually might be feeling invincible after this crazy free agency.
Revenge of the running back.
I guess return of the back instead of return of the back. The running back market went absolutely bonkers. I mean, there was just a lot of movement in general with all of these teams. What is some of your takes? Is there anybody still out there that, you think would be a perfect fit somewhere?
Well, I mean, just digesting what actually happened. As a Giants fan, seeing Saquon go to your Eagles, weird feeling. A lot of hate coming from, I saw Tiki Barber, which not exactly the most, loyal player, kind of had problems with management when he was there. Now he's Mr. Giant. He thinks he is, I guess. But what do you think about these players? Because it wasn't even just Saquon, right? There was also Aaron Jones went to the Vikings, I think.
You had Saquon to Philly.
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs to the Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
You had Derrick Henry to Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Pollard to Tennessee. I just feel like this is just everyone's fantasy draft.
It's like a Madden draft. Like
Austin Eckler to the Commanders. I completely forgot about it, actually, to be honest. Swift to Chicago. Singletary to your Giants. Gus Bus to the Chargers. Zach Moss to Bengals. And, I mean, the rest of them can just...
Yeah, but seeing certain players like, I guess, Aaron Jones, Saquon going to the rival teams because their team didn't go ahead and pay them, I think do you think that it's a little bit of a revenge move? Or do you think it's more so the teams in that division saying, hey, this guy's beating us a lot, we're going to go ahead and pay him, your loss?
I'll take the latter. Reason for my latter is because, I mean, don't get me wrong, these guys love to stick it to their opponent, right? Mm-hmm. But Saquon, he grew up about an hour outside of Philly. He's a Philly guy. So
Penn State.
Right. That said, so it's tough, it's maybe a little bit mix of both, but for him, he gets to go back home, his family, his friends, everyone's there, so it's a little bit mix of both. I would take the latter though, out of, if I had to pick, is it revenge or is it just,
Does he take the tush push now? or do they keep it?
Well, first of all,
Do they
I
keep
was
it
actually
Jalen Hurts
thinking about that this morning when I was sitting on the throne this morning, just pondering on sports because that's what I do. And I said, that's a lot of power.
Yeah, that's big thighs.
But they both squat ridiculous amounts. I mean, the tush push.
So Saquon's going to be the one pushing. I mean,
he's pushing a man who can also squat 600 pounds.
Yeah.
That's quite
scary. How are you going to stop this now? I guess they don't have Jason Kelsey anymore. So the lead of the tush push is someone different.
It is.
It is. So we'll see. Does that, addition, subtraction, I don't know where it ends up. But obviously Saquon is a great player if he can stay healthy. As a Giants fan, just warning you, the frustration is you see him have these great moments and then he just has trouble staying healthy with all these carries. He's getting older.
But look at Philly. We were not, all of our fans, we even had fans standing outside, the NovaCare complex saying, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. We're not so run heavy all the time, and we're not going to be as dependent as the Giants were on Saquon.
Yeah.
I feel that we have more weapons and things like that. I don't want to get this too much into Eagles podcast here, although I could talk about Eagles for days. I will keep it in the NFL, though. And with all these free agent movements, a Vegas thing, what happens to the divisions? What happens to the lines? What was the movement? So I jotted down here a little bit of the lines. I'm going to throw it to you. You tell me good value, not good value, things of that nature, okay? So we'll keep it first in the AFC. In the AFC East, you have the Bills, Dolphins, Jets, Patriots. Bills are at plus 130, Dolphins plus 180, Jets plus 300, and Pats plus 2,000. And this is obviously to win the division.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I kind of like that Jets line.
The Jets plus 300.
Yeah. I think with a healthy Rodgers, now if he doesn't run for vice president, I guess, that was news today. Nobody's aware. Apparently RFK Jr. might choose Aaron Rodgers as his running mate. Wild ticket. We're not going to get too political here, but if he focuses on football, he could stay healthy. Let's not forget Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson. This Jets team had weapons with just absolutely terrible quarterback play. Hopefully the line is a little healthier. The Jets could be something this year.
This is true. And
at plus 300,
it's not bad.
It's not bad. It's kind of, I think that if they win their first game or two, that line moves where they could be favorites in that division. The Dolphins, I think, are going to be very good still, like they were last year. They have all those weapons. Again, it's just end of the year. This Dolphins team, it's so frustrating for them that they just look so good and they blow great teams out, and then they just lose at the end. They just can't close.
I'm not sold on the Bills at all. And I know I'm going to probably get hate for that, but I'm really not sold on the Bills. I wasn't sold on the Bills last year. One of my preseason takes last year was that the Dolphins would win the division. Bills won't even make the playoffs. I was wrong on that. But I feel like the fall off is coming. I don't know. There's just something about them. I really can't pinpoint it. But you're right. The Jets' value there. And as you were talking about that, I was kind of perusing and scanning through all of them. And that might be the best value in sense of like actually has a real shot at winning. I'll keep it in the AFC again. In the North, we have the Ravens, Bengals, Browns, Steelers. Ravens plus 110, Bengals 160, Browns 550, Steelers 1,200.
Well, definitely don't like the Steelers. I don't think Russell Wilson moves the needle.
Steelers country, let's ride. No.
I'm excited for that promo. I'm excited for all the Subway commercials.
Yes.
But I don't think Russell Wilson does it for them. The Browns that defense is so good. If they can solidify what that offense looks like and who the quarterback
is. 550, that's a lot. That's a lot at 550.
Yeah.
But the Ravens, they just got the king.
Yeah, no, I look, the Ravens are the prohibitive favorite. Like you said, they have Derrick Henry now.
Yeah.
It's a definite improvement over Gus Edwards with the same sort of style. They don't really need to change their style up too much. And if you stack the box trying to stop Derrick Henry, then that opens up the outside probably for Lamar Jackson and some passing lanes. They do I still think they're still looking for that wide receiver, that like dominant outlet that could really just help Lamar Jackson out. You saw when Mark Andrews went away, that was a huge loss.
And they're losing, they don't have Marquise Brown anymore.
Right. Yeah, no.
Calvin Ridley's available. Odell Beckham, well, I don't know. They bring them in. Tyler Boyd, Curtis Samuel. These are some guys that are still out there.
T. Higgins
asking for a trade, right? So, I mean, these are some guys.
Yeah, no, and I think they will grab someone, maybe even in the draft. There's some decent receivers, is my understanding, in this draft. I'm sure at a later date we'll get into the NFL draft.
Yeah. And then you got in the South, Texans, Jags, Colts, Titans. Texans 170, Jags 170, Colts 275, and Titans 1200.
Well, what was the top of that again? Can you?
Texans, Jags are both at 170.
At 170?
They're a coin flip.
I do like the Texans.
Yeah.
This year.
I mean, Stroud is unbelievable.
Stroud's great.
Unbelievable.
You gotta expect he's gonna even take that next step. He's definitely like the next elite quarterback in this league for sure. So yeah, I gotta go with the Texans, even though the money is not. I like to lean on these future bets. If you're going to make a future bet, you're going to sit with that bet for a long time. I think it's exciting to go for, the money, and plus 170 is not that exciting, but hey, if you really feel like it's a lock, it's free money, right?
And you brought something up that I was thinking, I hate future bets. I just don't have the patience. But then I watch these tickets on draft, like when, you're scrolling on Instagram and the guy that picked the World Cup winner and the Stanley Cup winner and and you're like, it's almost chalk. Like, how did I not think of that? And you get pissed at yourself. But am I really going to sit with a ticket for 365 days to get through a World Cup and NBA season and NHL season? So like these future bets, maybe I should just it's almost like set it and forget it. You just, you just put it and you place it and you just forget that it's there.
It's a true investment.
I mean, I guess
it's like it's a real investment. It's like the stock market.
Yeah, you just have to be willing to just accept the length of time. The West, I'm not even going to dabble too much. It's the Chiefs. It's always going to be the Chiefs right now. Raiders, although could be interesting. The Chargers, I'm not buyers. They're at plus 260, but the Raiders at plus 1100. But it's the Chiefs. I mean, I don't even know. I don't even know. And they're minus 175. If you care.
And you right. and you got to think that they're going to improve the deficiencies that they saw, which are pretty easy to improve. Which pretty much was all centered around having terrible wide receivers. Right.
They're going to have to draft somebody. Get someone in free agency. Like you said, there's a bunch of very, usable veteran guys that are proven, that can at least catch the ball, that are thrown directly at their hands. Kadarius Toney's not walking through that door. No. So he's not, even with his beautiful smile. No, I'll keep it in the West again, though, in the NFC, because it's easy. It's a quick one. The 49ers. It's always going to be the 49ers. The Rams are at plus 350, Seattle 650, and the Cardinals at 1200. I don't want to waste a lot of time on that whatsoever. The 49ers are at minus 190. Vegas knows it. The world knows it. Hey, but if you want to throw a bunch of money down and get a nice a decent return.
Like in the NFL, the biggest thing is staying healthy. An injury happens to Brock Purdy, that could change completely. What I'm saying, though, is you're not betting a future on a potential injury, right?
Okay, but so in betting, though, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you take the NFC West. If you had it disposable, like 10 grand, like just, like an investment, like you said, would that be an interesting play? Like, I can put 10 grand down right now and I'm going to get 5 back in return. Like,
just a guaranteed lock. They're going to win the division. Yeah. And I think
it's not a bad play, right?
I think that there are people out there, like, we're casual, we're somewhat everyday bettors. I wouldn't say we're professional bettors. Like, this is our main only source of income. If that is, if that's how you make a living, then why wouldn't you do that, right? Why wouldn't you just say, I can make money? Yeah. Doesn't a bank go ahead and take, if they can make 5%, they're going to make 5%. Right. So
that's interesting.
I think it depends on what your goal is with betting. If it's to have fun, then a future's not that fun until you're there, until that moment occurs. So you're You're setting it like you're planning a long-term vacation, right?
This
But
is
if you're doing it for like, I'm watching this game tonight with my friends, I want to have fun, I'm going to place a bet, that's what I like to do more. Tonight, I want to watch NBA, I'm going to place a parlay and maybe a couple like straight bets just so that I have something interesting. I have a reason to turn on my league pass.
There you go. Right. That's true. Now in the South, NFC South, we got Falcons, Bucks, Saints, Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
Falcons plus 110, Bucks plus 260, Saints plus 300, and Panthers plus 1200. Panthers, let's just toss it. They ain't going to do crap. Falcons, very interesting with the addition of Captain Kirk.
Captain Kirk. In Atlanta.
In Atlanta.
Yeah, that should be interesting content.
He's the amount of chains.
The chains.
That he's going to have. I guarantee you he's going to get like chains from Migos or something.
Yeah.
Look,
I think Atlanta is definitely the favorite, but you can't discount Tampa.
I plus 260.
Can't discount Tampa.
And Saints, I think they're sleeping.
Baker, they gave a lot of money to, right? I'm kind of happy for the guy. I think he was falling into that sort of, that zone of forgettable number one picks.
We should get him in the bakery.
I would love. Oh, Baker in the Baker. Wow, the Baker.
Can bake us something.
But I think with his spot solidified, I think it'll allow him to have a little more confidence. Mike Evans still churning out these consistent seasons every single year. They have the weapons. They could do something. I think the NFC South is always tight. Like it is just always tight. So do I like Atlanta with Kirk Cousins now? Yes. But they were pretty bad, right? Like they were pretty bad all around, and it wasn't just the quarterback. So I think that they're the favorite, but I do like Tampa, and I think maybe that's, if I were to place a future bet in the NFC South, I think it'd be on Tampa, not on Atlanta.
Whoa, I like it. Interesting. See, I mean, I have my own opinions on Kirk. He had so many weapons in Minnesota. That offense.
Yeah,
was
but
so
the offense was pretty good, right? Like
in Minnesota?
In Minnesota.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying it wasn't
really him. Like, if you can throw the pill to Justin Jefferson,
yeah,
Justin Jefferson and Drake London are not the same,
right? Absolutely.
So in the North, Lions, Packers, Bears, and Vikings. Lions plus 155. Do they keep it up? Packers, who are very interesting in my opinion, at 225. Bears 325, and the Vikings at 550.
So what do you like there?
Personally, I kind of like the Packers. I love Man Campbell, and I'm sorry, Detroit. I really, I was pulling for y'all once my team got knocked out, and I enjoy the whole Detroit Lions thing that everyone's getting behind. That said, it would be the most Detroit thing to do is not regress like to olden days, but the way that the Packers were playing against San Francisco in the playoffs, we were watching the game, remember? And the way just Love kind of found himself. They have, they got some pickups too, and I just kind of feel like Josh Jacobs, right? So I don't know.
Yeah,
I kind of like it's. I look at the Packers, and it's interesting because the lines are very similar, kind of like the Bucks. Like, yes, blindly Lions, Falcons, let's just call it a day. But if you wanted to get a little spicy with it, don't sleep on the Bucks, don't sleep on the Packers. And that's kind of like where I
well, does Jordan Love continue to improve?
And I think he does.
He's shown flashes that he's a good quarterback. He's shown flashes that he's really not good. I think he's probably pretty good. Josh Jacobs is interesting, though. Are we going to get Josh Jacobs from 2 years ago? Or are we going to get Josh Jacobs of last year? If it's of last year, this is a running back that, fell off that cliff. That seems to happen to all these guys like Austin Eckler and others, that they're just dominant, and then all of a sudden they're just not the guy anymore. They're not a workhorse that you can trust. I think that that's another division that's always pretty tight. I do think that the Lions are the favorite, obviously. Mm-hmm. I think that, you still have Amon-Ra. Goff is very serviceable. Dan Campbell, a lot of energy there on that team. I like the Lions. I want them to be good.
Right.
I just like, it's hard to not see it and root for them.
And what's crazy is I think the Lions are more definitive to win the division than the Falcons are. And the Falcons are less payout.
Yeah.
The Falcons are at plus 110 and the Lions are at plus 150.
That's why I like Tampa. That's why I was saying Tampa.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I find that very interesting. Like, I don't know if there's so much hype behind the Kirk Cousins thing, and now it's Atlanta's, fate to take. But let's keep it going to the last one, the final one, the division that our teams are in. That's why I kept it for last. The NFC East. Cowboys are at plus 100. The Eagles at plus 160. The Commanders at plus 800. And your New York Football Giants at plus 1,000.
Well, I will be playing something on the Giants' future, maybe $10.
Why don't you just do it through me again? Because, as your friend, I always say, you know what, Dan? I look at you in the face. I see you so sad, so angry, and you keep saying, F this team. I don't even know why I root for them anymore while you're wearing your beautiful throwback Giants jersey. And I stare at you and I go, Dan, I'll pull back our bet. Because he always bets me Eagles versus Giants.
I don't feel it this year. I'll be honest.
So you're not gonna, even though
unless you give me like 5 games or something. but I do like the Eagles at that.
I do too.
At that line, and I'm actually shocked.
I was shocked.
So I'm wondering what Vegas is seeing to make them not in that, favorite category, like where it's not plus money.
It's the Cowboys' height. It is plus.
Oh, no. Where it's the opposite. Like, so it is plus money.
Not minus.
Not minus.
Well, I just think
why aren't they in
the media frenzy of the Cowboys?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Cowboys are there, and that thorn will always be in the way of, the Eagles. Now, what I find really interesting over the last,
but how did the Cowboys get better? Like, what have they done that has made them a better team?
They're the Cowboys
in free agency. Right?
Nothing. Yeah, nothing.
They haven't done anything. I think they
haven't done anything over in the last 20 some years.
Mm-hmm.
Let's face it. I mean, you need a VHS player to watch any of their relevant teams. So it's just the media. It's the hype. It's Cowboy Nation, and there's nothing. And I'll take it as a better.
Yeah.
I'll love that. But Eagles at plus 160 definitely like
I hate the Cowboys at plus 100. I would
I agree.
I some way to short that bet. I would probably bet them under wins, because obviously if they're plus 100, Vegas probably has them. I'm curious what that line is, but
wins.
Yeah, the wins.
We can do that next time.
Yeah, we'll get it next time, or as we get closer to the season.
Now, and we'll just go through this really fast because I don't want to dwell on this too much. Super Bowl winners, not division, just Super Bowl. I just jotted down the top teams. I'm just going to run through it just so you can hear it. You have the 49, and there's actually great value here, folks. I mean, if you think about, again, if you have the patience, if you want to throw it down, you got 49ers at plus 525, Chiefs plus 600, Ravens plus 900, Bills plus 1100, Lions 1200, Bengals 1400, Eagles and Cowboys, which I find interesting that the Eagles and Cowboys will both be at 1,600 when there's almost a 60% mark off on the division in itself.
Mm-hmm.
But that's for something else. Fins 2,000 and Pack 2,000. I stopped it right there, but I did need to check the Giants just in case you wanted to throw a future. They have the 6th worst or best, depending on payout, how you want to look at this. They're at plus 10,000. So
that's value.
Yeah, there's value.
I don't see them winning. I can't believe I'm saying it. I do like the Eagles there
at 11 at 1,600.
At 1,600, that's good value there. $100 to win 1,600.
I don't like the Bengals at 1,400.
I don't
at all.
I like. Yeah, I don't see it. They seem to be going backwards. I do like the Ravens also.
Me too. 9.
If you ask me right now, I think it's so difficult to
if I gave you a free $100 right now and you had to pick, and don't put it on the Giants or something, you had to pick.
Because if it's free, I probably would just
exactly fly it, right? You get 10 grand. Let's say the whole world came to an end. The Giants were the last team standing, but free $100. Here you go. You got to pick from the 49ers, Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, Lions, Bengals, Eagles, Cowboys, Dolphins, or Packers.
I probably would pick the Ravens.
And I really don't blame you.
Yeah, I think the Ravens would be my pick. I think what I was going to say was I think that to repeat 3 times, it's just the NFL, there's way too much parity. I wouldn't expect the Chiefs to do it again, even though I think they'll be there.
I think last year was a very strange year in the NFL,
Mm-hmm.
and it just kind of fell in the Chiefs' lap. Like, there was a lot of change, right? You had the Eagles going so crazy in the beginning, then they just imploded. You had the Lions, Packers, like all these teams that didn't have playoff experience. They were like, not really relevant the last few years. In the limelight, 49ers were there, but Baltimore came out of nowhere. Like, it was just a weird Dolphins, it was very strange where come playoff time, it was a lot of like unknown, and these teams, a lot of these players don't know playoff football, and the Chiefs were sitting there like, haha, like, the only threat to us could have been maybe the Eagles or Cowboys or something, but the Cowboys did Cowboy things, and the Eagles just absolutely fell off, right? So I just think the Chiefs, it kind of like was a perfect storm for them to like make that run and that push and get all the way through. Because I don't think Baltimore implodes like that again. And I know Lamar seems to not be able to get it done when it matters, but I just don't see it again. So if I had the free 100, as much as I would want to put it on the Eagles, probably would put it on Baltimore. And I'm an Eagles fan. That's tough for me to say, but that's just, something I did want to mention that I've seen recently in the sports world was a hockey game I wanted to mention. And I know you said you saw something really cool, and I was like, no, wait, don't tell me yet. I want to hear it when we're chatting. So mine was in the NHL a couple nights ago, was completely crazy. The Minnesota Wild were playing Nashville. Minnesota needs every point possible right now to make that playoff push. And I saw something, and I was actually watching it live, which was cool, that I've never seen really done, was the coach pulled the goalie in overtime. So now, if for those that don't know, in the NHL, overtime now is 3v3, 3-on-3. And when you pull your goalie in hockey, you get that extra player. Now, if no one scores in overtime, you go to a shootout. So in reality, they still could have won the game, right? And the coach said, no, F this. I'm going to take our goalie out and have 4 guys on 3 and just say, let's score this goal and go home and call it a day. Mm-hmm. And they actually scored. Like, they pulled the goalie. It was so beautifully orchestrated. Guy was cycling in the center ice in his defensive zone. They got the players that they wanted out there. Goalie's out, and literally 20 seconds later they scored. And I was like mind blown. And I kind of, I guess, would compare it to a coach going for it on 4th and 5 when they're on, let's say, their 40-yard line. Is it an analytics thing? Is this like a new wave of, or is it the coach looks like a genius because it was successful? But if Nashville, like if you're a Wild fan, and I really can't put myself in those shoes because I'm not, but if I was a Wild fan and Nashville scores on an empty net or an overtime, I'd say, why the fuck did they just not take it to shootout? And it's a shootout's a coin flip, right?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah, no, I thought that was awesome, right? Like, advanced analytics in sports, we're seeing it in football. Now, in football, it's almost like the announcers are even saying, the analytics would say, here, you go for it.
Exactly.
You're over there. And you're seeing it now go into other sports. I haven't seen that before. You watch a lot more hockey than I do. But, yeah, doesn't it make sense? Why not get an advantage? Most of these goals are scored on power plays, especially in the end of games. Get the advantage, go for it. It's a limited amount of time. Why not get the most people on the ice and get the shots and try to get the goal? And it worked out, so he looks like a genius. It's the Man Campbell effect, where it's like, wow, oh my God, Dan Campbell has the biggest balls ever. Look at this guy. It's
coming
amazing.
in a wheelbarrow.
And then when it's like 4th and 3 and they're down by 3 and he goes for it and they're like, what is wrong with this guy? Why is he doing it? So obviously there was something in there that told this guy this was the right move. I wonder if it's analytics. Because it's hard to say what the analytics are because there's not enough. In order to get analytics, you need a sample size.
Right. There's not enough sample size because I watch hockey. I really haven't seen that too much. I've seen them pull a goalie with maybe down 2 goals with 4 minutes left or 6 minutes left. I've even seen as far as recently, which is also new, them pulling a goalie at 8 minutes left in the third period when they're on the power play. So then they have 6 on 4, which when the team's down, which that's again, I find it's just so extreme because, that goal is just so crucial. You're basically just, it's a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
If it goes against you, you're done for, right? But I think last year was a very strange year in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of fell in the Chiefs' lap. Like, there was a lot of change, right? You had the Eagles going so crazy in the beginning, then they just imploded. You had the Lions, Packers, like all these teams that didn't have playoff experience. They were like, not really relevant the last few years. In the limelight, 49ers were there, but Baltimore came out of nowhere. Like, it was just a weird Dolphins, it was very strange where come playoff time, it was a lot of like unknown, and these teams, a lot of these players don't know playoff football, and the Chiefs were sitting there like, haha, like, the only threat to us could have been maybe the Eagles or Cowboys or something, but the Cowboys did Cowboy things, and the Eagles just absolutely fell off, right? So I just think the Chiefs, it kind of like was a perfect storm for them to like make that run and that push and get all the way through. Because I don't think Baltimore implodes like that again. And I know Lamar seems to not be able to get it done when it matters, but I just don't see it again. So if I had the free 100, as much as I would want to put it on the Eagles, I probably would put it on Baltimore. And I'm an Eagles fan. That's tough for me to say, but that's just, something I did want to mention that I've seen recently in the sports world was a hockey game I wanted to mention. And I know you said you saw something really cool, and I was like, no, wait, don't tell me yet. I want to hear it when we're chatting. So mine was in the NHL a couple nights ago, was completely crazy. The Minnesota Wild were playing Nashville. Minnesota needs every point possible right now to make that playoff push. And I saw something, and I was actually watching it live, which was cool, that I've never seen really done, was the coach pulled the goalie in overtime. So now, if for those that don't know, in the NHL, overtime now is 3v3, 3-on-3. And when you pull your goalie in hockey, you get that extra player. Now, if no one scores in overtime, you go to a shootout. So in reality, they still could have won the game, right? And the coach said, no, F this, I'm going to take our goalie out and have 4 guys on 3 and just say, let's score this goal and go home and call it a day. And they actually scored. Like, they pulled the goalie. It was so beautifully orchestrated. Guy was cycling in the center ice in his defensive zone. They got the players that they wanted out there. Goalie's out, and literally 20 seconds later they scored. And I was like mind blown. And I kind of, I guess, would compare it to a coach going for it on 4th and 5 when they're on, let's say, their 40-yard line. Is it an analytics thing? Is this like a new wave of, or is it the coach looks like a genius because it was successful? But if Nashville, like if you're a Wild fan, and I really can't put myself in those shoes because I'm not, but if I was a Wild fan and Nashville scores on an empty netter in overtime, I'd say, why the fuck did they just not take it to shootout? And it's a shootout's a coin flip, right? What?
Yeah, no, I thought that was awesome, right? Like, advanced analytics in sports, we're seeing it in football. Now, in football, it's almost like the announcers are even saying, the analytics would say, here, you go for it.
Exactly.
You're over there. And you're seeing it now go into other sports. I haven't seen that before. You watch a lot more hockey than I do. But, yeah, doesn't it make sense? Why not get an advantage? Most of these goals are scored on power plays, especially in the end of games. Get the advantage, go for it. It's a limited amount of time. Why not get the most people on the ice and get the shots and try to get the goal? And it worked out, so he looks like a genius. It's the Man Campbell effect, where it's like, wow, oh my God, Dan Campbell has the biggest balls ever. Look at this guy. It's
coming
amazing.
in a wheelbarrow.
And then when it's like 4th and 3 and they're down by 3 and he goes for it and they're like, what is wrong with this guy? Why is he doing it? So obviously there was something in there that told this guy this was the right move. I wonder if it's analytics. Because it's hard to say what the analytics are because there's not enough. In order to get analytics, you need a sample size.
Right. There's not enough sample size because I watch hockey. I really haven't seen that too much. I've seen them pull a goalie with maybe down 2 goals with 4 minutes left or 6 minutes left. I've even seen, as far as recently, which is also new, them pulling a goalie at 8 minutes left in the third period when they're on the power play. So then they have 6 on 4, which when the team's down, which that's, again, I find it's just so extreme because, that goal is just so crucial. You're basically just, it's a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
If it goes against you, you're done for, right? But funny or interesting and fun thing that happened was one of our listeners actually saw us. Remember when you're like, do you want to Zen? You were,
of course,
bunk beds and lip pillows and the whole nine. Actually owns a new lip pillow brand, and they actually sent me one. So I figured, Quit. So I actually want to give you, and I actually really like the to put the old ones in.
Wow.
But here, this is bubble gum.
Bubble gum.
And cheers to you, sir.
Oh, thank you.
And I just want to
put in the upper deck there, get the full flavor. Ooh, bubble gum reminds me of
fun.
Yeah, it reminds me of smoking cigs as a young child.
The candy cigarettes.
Yeah, candy. Yes, that's exactly what it reminds me of, a candy cigarette just blowing.
No, but the flavor is nice. And it's
very nice.
I've had some other brands and they don't.
It's like a minty bubble gum.
Yes. Well, yeah, you need a little.
Quit. No, very nice.
Quit.
Start
something new.
To quit
smoking. Yeah, like they said, it
started a new addiction.
Yeah. So if you look at the eye, it's like a cigarette.
Yeah, I like it. It's very nice.
Anyway.
Quit.
All right, we'll leave that there. Thank you, Quit, for helping us.
Keep sending them.
Yeah, why not? There's a couple other flavors, but I figured bubblegum is fun.
Yeah, it is good for the kids.
Yeah, good. But anywho.
Yeah, so speaking of fun.
And kids.
Yes. Well, speaking of fun, big news, Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, Iron Mike on Netflix, not pay-per-view. I think that this potentially could end up being the most heavily watched, believe it or not. I really think because of the non-pay-per-view thing, everyone has Netflix, we could end up seeing numbers that this is the most heavily watched boxing match ever. What do you think?
That is a very hot take, and I am all on it, like white on rice and a glass of milk in a snowstorm.
Well,
yeah, major pain. Watch the movie, great movie. But no, I am all on that. I completely agree with you. I literally love that take a lot. Reason being too is Netflix in itself is more and more just inching. Like if you notice, they're doing little things, live events. They did maybe a live reunion.
Golden Globes, I think they did.
No, it was the SAG Awards.
SAG Awards, yeah.
You were here and we were watching. Yeah. And even what I found very interesting was even the actors, once they got to the mic, they were like, I will, thank you to the SAG Academy for blah, 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 because I can say whatever the fuck I want. They were loving that rawness, that being able to be raw. So I feel that it'll be more raw too. It's not going to be, even though pay-per-view, they don't really work, but there's going to be cursing. I don't know. I just think that it's going to bring in a lot of people. It'll be very heavily watched. Who do you think's going to win?
I think Jake Paul will win, but I don't, it's difficult because Mike Tyson, obviously one of the greatest fighters of all time. He is 56 years old. I don't know about your chin at 56. How many punches can you take? I think they're doing, I read, 8 rounds. So I think when you get to the 3rd or 4th round, if there's not a knockout by Tyson, what is that guy's energy like at 56 years old? Jake Paul, whether he's an amazing boxer or not, he's definitely a good athlete, right? He's definitely has the stamina, he's definitely conditioned to fight. I think that this is the most interesting because he's fought, great fighters that he was either in a much higher weight class like Mayweather, right? Roy Jones Jr. just didn't seem like he had it anymore. Mike Tyson's workout videos look nuts. He's still just like an animal. He's also clearly a little psychotic. So that part of it makes you think that he can't get tired because he's just not even human.
Right.
It's going to be interesting to watch that. A lot of these Jake Paul fights, I could care less, right? I think that he's interesting and I love the way that Better and him do promotion. But the fight itself is less interesting. Mike Tyson, though, everyone still thinks Mike Tyson, wow, you don't want to get hit by Mike Tyson. He's nuts. One of the greatest fighters ever. I think it's going to be must-watch television, and I'm telling you right now, remember, the numbers will come out. It will be the biggest, the highest-watched event for boxing in our lifetime.
That, again, the take I love. The win, I also think Paul will find a way to win. I think he always does. It's just part of his DNA.
Or is it rigged?
He is the problem child, whether... Exactly, right? He is the problem child, but...
What do you think the line comes out at?
I don't even know.
Is it Jake Paul favored? Is it even money?
I think he's favored. I think Jake Paul's favored. I'd say like 150. Like something close to almost even.
Is this good for boxing?
Yes. And I think that these two are the two... First of all, Jake Paul's not going to go down as one of the greatest boxers at all in whatever. But he will go down as one of the best promo guys. Like, he's going to put Don King
I think he already...
for his money.
I think
like,
he already is.
But
right?
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's making us watch and pay for amateur boxing. In what world, in what sport have you ever paid to watch? Are you watching beer league hockey on pay-per-view? Are you,
No.
And that's a bit extreme, but you get my point. It's amateur boxing. It's not even professional.
Well, boxing has turned into, instead of so much as this watched and criticized and critiqued sport, it's now an event, right?
Yeah.
UFC has taken that mantle of fighting where you have people really analyzing people's striking ability and grappling ability and how they're going to match up. With boxing now, it's just find two huge names and get them in a ring.
Right.
And I think, could you find a bigger name than Mike Tyson? And if Jake Paul's going to fight him, he better fight him now, because Mike Tyson is 56 years old.
And going back to your video that you mentioned, I mean, he's the power that Tyson has hit, like, it was frightening.
Yeah.
It was very scary watching those Tyson videos and how fast he is. So I want to see Jake Paul take a hit, like an actual Tyson punch. And if he can stand there, like, and he's a man, like Jake Paul is a freak. He's an athlete, like you said, and take that hit and just smile and be that problem child and be that like punk persona, it's going to be a movie.
Yeah.
Fight is going to be so epic.
Well, is 56-year-old Tyson 50-year-old George Foreman, or is he Bernard Hopkins, right? Bernard Hopkins was still amazing.
I'd go Bernard.
Okay.
Because George Foreman was worried more about making grills out of shape. Like,
Great grill.
Great grill.
Had it in college. I guess it's outdated technology now. Like, probably kids, what do they have in college? They have like ninjas and like...
But it's just funny because those grills...
And we were making like just steaks of
two
like
irons.
Two irons together.
It's like my wife's like hair straightener. It's like, let's put a piece of chicken in a hair straightener and just and clamp it.
Yeah,
that's what it was. And it had the ridges to make it look like it was on the grill.
The boxing match I would have liked to see was Ronco versus George Foreman in the later years. The set it and forget it guy.
Well, it's funny. I mentioned set it and forget it earlier. But no, definitely the Paul fight will be one of the best fights out there coming up. Most viewed, shall I say? I don't know. Best.
Hopefully, it's a good fight.
Hopefully,
I hope someone gets knocked out.
If Jake Paul knocks out Mike Tyson, that's it. Everyone's going to be going nuts.
Yeah, and the other way too.
Will there be a prop that someone will get a body part bitten off?
Ooh. So if it's Tyson, I think he's learned his lesson. I don't know and him and Evander Holyfield are like friends now. They appear in things. Could you imagine that? Like, this is my friend that I have like half an ear from.
Yeah, no.
That's brotherhood.
That's friendship. That is friendship. I did like, and not to get too off, but the promo that Paul did with the tattoo.
Oh, I didn't see it.
He acted like he was getting the Tyson tattoo at a tattoo shop, and then called his mom. And that's how she found out that he was fighting Tyson.
Wow.
And she's like, "What's on your face?" And he's like, "I'm fighting Mike Tyson."
What a problem child, right? What a problem child.
That's epic. Completely epic.
All right. I think it was a good show. I'm excited for this weekend. We started early on our green beer. Let's take a little sip. This weekend we got Selection Sunday. I'm excited to see what the matchups are. And then next week, one of the greatest times of the year, we have March Madness. we'll be at the Hard Rock on Friday, and I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully a good month of college betting coming up.
It's going to be epic. The Rock, definitely go to the Hard Rock. We'll be there. So like you said, Selection Sunday, we have some great NBA this weekend as well. Some great NHL games Saturday. I looked at the slate and completely loaded with rivalries. It's going to be exciting stuff. Catch us again on the next episode, Bagels and Locks. See you. Cheers. Be safe. Happy Selection Sunday. Happy St. Patty's Day, folks.